You're listening to On the Air with John and Matt here on BBC Radio Kent with myself, John Phipps, and Matt Gerard. Now, we all know that sport can bring people together, be it to cheer on the same team or just have a kick about with your mates, Matt.
Yeah, absolutely, John. But again, sometimes you have to think about football in a different way about that we've got at the moment, with the three guys we've got in at the moment in the studio.
Yeah, these three men are part of a new team that is raising awareness of a very, very special cause. It's not the usual topic that you'll normally hear myself and Matt talking about here on BBC Radio Kent, but every 90 minutes, a baby dies shortly before, during or soon after birth.
And 15 babies a day are stillborn or die within 4 weeks of birth in the UK as well.
And that doesn't even take into account that around 1 in 5 pregnancies comes to an end before even reaching the 20-week stage. Miscarriage, as I can sadly vouch for myself, is something that happens far too frequently, but we simply never talk about it.
It's a really difficult thing. And we've got Kent Sands United, got a gentleman in the studio, is a football team that's been set up to bring the dads who've lost their children together. And we're delighted to have three of the team here in the studio tonight. We have Mike Pollard, Scott Moores and Jordan Glenn with us. Good evening, gentlemen. Mike, if we can start with you, tell us about Kent Sands United and why you're involved.
Well, we got in touch with, there's an original team that was set up a year ago in Northampton, and Northampton's obviously quite a distance from where we are here in Kent, and but there was a few of us had separately contacted them. We were keen to set up a team locally, and with chatting to them and chatting to the charity, we were able to set up the platform to bring it into Kent, and start setting the team, getting the word out to create a team here in Kent.
Yeah, the one in Northampton's had quite a lot of publicity, hasn't it, from it? And I think it's been in the major press and things.
Yes.
Did you go to them and talk to them first before doing this?
Contacted them through social media. So I only met them for the first time 6 weeks ago or something in person. But yeah, being in touch with them through social media and then texting.
Yeah, it's a difficult subject to talk about. If you don't mind, what's your situation? You see on your shirt there, you've all got shirts, Kent Sands United shirts on, and you've got your children's name, Harrison, Jack and Zach. Then
we carry our angel names with us. They're all going to be worn on our shirts under our badges, and sadly there's 3 names on there. I've been in an unfortunate position. We've been through 4 losses, unfortunately, right since 2016. First of all was a miscarriage at 12 weeks. You get all excited, you go for your scan at 12 weeks, and unfortunately it was nothing to be seen at the scan. Me and the wife built ourselves back up again to try again, and this time, look, everything seemed to be going well. We were pregnant with twin boys, and unfortunately at 19 weeks she went into septic shock, and sadly that brought on early labour, and they were way too young to survive, unfortunately. Again,
that's emotional, Tom, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, we tried again, and amazingly she got pregnant once again, and everything was going swimmingly. We got through a lot of the scans, and we found out we were having a baby boy, just the one this time, but sadly last August she just miscarried again, and ended up having to deliver the baby boy at 24 weeks pregnant, and again, even more recently, we thought we'd go again once more, try another time, and she was sadly, we were getting excited coming up to the 12-week scan, but sadly she miscarried once more. So that's 4 sad miscarriages really, and I honestly don't know how we continue doing it, but it's, there's hope out there. You hear so many good stories about it, and especially through the guys in the team that we've now met, there is positive stories out there, and there is light at the end of the tunnel somewhere out there. But it's been a tough few years.
I bet it has, Mike. Thanks for sharing that. And obviously we've also got Jordan and Scott with us as well. Lads, what are your stories, and how did you get involved with the team?
Basically, me and my other half fell pregnant in 2016. 12-week scan, absolutely fine, telling everyone, buzzing. Went for a day out at Hastings at 16 weeks. She went to the toilet, found a bit of pain, went to the hospital, and unfortunately they told us there was no heartbeat. So unfortunately miscarried, fell pregnant the following year. Obviously a bit more nervous than the first time. So got through the 12 weeks, everything's fine. 16 weeks, everything's fine. So it's like telling people again because you think you've beat that hurdle. Went for the 20-week scan and they found a problem with the baby's heart. So sent us to a specialist in London where they basically said that the heart had a rare deficiency where if we was to continue with the pregnancy, there's a chance it either A, wouldn't survive the pregnancy, or if she did, the baby wouldn't live long at all. So we unfortunately had to have the conversation whether we want the miracle baby or whether we basically stop the pregnancy and stop the baby being in pain if she even survived the pregnancy. And then we've just sort of coped with it as best we can, really.
It's a difficult one. Your story as well?
Mine's kind of similar to Mike, really. Like me and my wife obviously wanted children, so we found out that we were having twins, 2 boys. Very excited, shared it on Facebook and stuff like that, telling family and friends, sort of getting buzzing for it, and you start thinking this is going to be our life now. This is the next chapter. And then 20 weeks, she woke up and she had a bit of fluid. She was just saying, I'm going to go to the hospital and just get it checked. I was at work and then couldn't get through to her all day. And then phone rang, come up with her name. I was like, hello. My sister was on the phone. She was crying her eyes out saying, Megan might lose the boys. So I just put my tools down, ran to my car, drove to the hospital, got there, saying that there's a chance I might lose the boys. There's good fluid around them still, but at 20 weeks, there was a slim chance. And then she actually got transferred from where we are in Orpington, from Prue down to Ashford, because that's where they take critical ill babies from sort of that young. And we was in hospital in total for 5 weeks, but she delivered the boys because she started to get an infection. And then it was only after she delivered and the boys didn't survive that we found out she actually got septic shock and multi-organ failure. So from the point of her delivering, I was told that she'd be going in to get some lines in just to try and help her, and she got taken to intensive care, and I just walked up to intensive care. I didn't even know what was going on, and all of a sudden I see her with all these lines coming out, and I'm thinking, like, I came here with potentially 4 people. I could be leaving just by myself, sort of thing. So yeah, it was quite a...
And it's something, isn't it, generally that we don't talk about enough, you know, and I think that it's almost a taboo subject sometimes, and that's why we're so glad that you 3 lads are here tonight to share your stories. And I guess that's the real beauty of this project that you're now involved in, is that this football team has brought you all together, and it gives you a chance to all chat together.
Yeah, it's been the beauty of it. For the very short time we've actually been together.
You didn't know each other before or anything like this?
No.
How did you get in contact? Just social media?
Through social media, through the SANS support group, social media pages. The word just kind of get out from social media and word of mouth, and obviously other people hearing about the Northampton team from getting contact with SANS as well. They're able to point us in our direction. But yeah, from the very first meeting we decided to just have a meeting rather than going out on the football pitch first and foremost. And within minutes of people never ever meeting each other, they were opening up and sharing their stories and having a laugh with each other and totally just feeling relaxed. And it's a very odd time.
Had you, apart from you, partner, had you spoken to anybody about this, or when you got together, and is it that sort of build up of emotion of, people have been in a terrible situation you've been in? That
obviously speak to your close family and your friends and a couple of work colleagues around you, know the story, but to be in someone's company who has been in the same unfortunate position, it's a strange feeling, but you just get that connection quite instantly that you can chat to each other quite openly.
I think one thing for me, I mean, my situation was different from yours because our 2 miscarriages, never even sort of 6 weeks, we never even heard a heartbeat. But the first one was particularly traumatic for us both. But I remember when Harry Arter, obviously who's now at Cardiff, came out and said what he had been through. and that for me at that time, really made me sort of think, do you know what? You're not alone. It's not something to be ashamed of. And the fact that he put himself out there and said that kind of gave me a boost. And I hope that that's what we're going to get out of you guys being here tonight, because there's got to be hundreds of people out there in Kent, thousands of people out there in Kent who've been through this, and especially if it's as we were in our situation. But it's probably people didn't even get to tell anyone that they'd had the news that they might possibly be parents, and so they may just be eating themselves up. But I'm not saying for a second that anything I went through is as traumatic as what you lads have been through, but it is still that nagging feeling. I've got my former boss has got a little girl who's the same age as the one that we had. The first one would be now, and sometimes you see his pictures on Facebook, and you see she's nearly 3, and you think that could be us, and that's kind of what. And it's just nice that we're able to talk about this here, because we do shy away from it, don't we, lads?
Massively. I spoke more about it in the last 2.5 months with these lads than I have in the last 2 years personally.
How difficult was it? Did you feel you were bottling it up, etc.?
I bottle any emotion. I think all men bottle things up, really. But if I say, like Mike said, from the first meeting when people were talking, it sounds silly, but it makes you're not embarrassed to talk about it, but people are embarrassed to ask you about it, if anything. So whereas, because everyone's been in the same situation, there's no awkwardness around anything.
How did you feel when you went to the first meeting, Jordan? Like when you first turned up there, did you have any nerves about knowing what you were going to meet when you got there?
Obviously I was nervous, because you're meeting a bunch of strangers that you like. I got in contact with Mike and Jack, who both started the team in Kent, but you get nervous because you are speaking to these people that you've never met before about something that's it's such a pivotal point in your life. It's such a big impact that's happened within your life, and like what Scott said, it's a completely different scenario when you're talking to people that have actually been through it, because you know that every emotion you're pouring out, they're feeling. They've been through that. They're going to give you, out of anyone in the world, they're going to give you such good, good sort of
understanding, I suppose.
Yeah,
because they know what you're going through, and
Exactly.
they know that it is such a difficult thing to face, especially the situations that you three have all talked about tonight.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's they give you ways of how they've dealt with it, and like Mike mentioned, that there are people within the team that have had what we call rainbow babies, which are their babies after losing a child, and you're happy for them. You're really happy for them, and you think, what did you do differently? And they're going, you just got to keep picking yourself up. And as Scott said as well, like, since being part of that team, I've felt like I've been able to be a lot stronger for my wife. Even though I may not put it across, I just feel physically stronger, just because I've been able to have that outlet where I haven't got to think about anything. I haven't got to think about work, haven't got to think about bills, haven't got to think about anything else apart from just having a kick about with a good group of lads.
You think sport brings people together in this sort of situation? Is it, if this football team has brought it in, any other sport, does it, football's that kind of thing, you get lads together and it brings it all out?
Yeah, that's quite a good way to look at it. It's a very manly sport, isn't it, football? Everyone wants to be the tough guy, but at the same time, you depend on them people on the pitch. At the same, you want to get to know them. You learn how they play. You learn about who you play with, and it's a good way to think about it, I suppose. The teammates, aren't they?
From a mate point of view, the Sands is a excellent charity. Is there anything your partners are they in a group or anything like that? I know women are better than communicating than men, etc. like that. And my wife, I'm fortunate to have 2 children, and what women go, she went through for her birth, etc. like that. Tough. Do you find it? Women, have they got a support service as well? Or?
So they've got the same support services as we have, but off the back of our Instagram page and things we've got going is our captain Jack, his other half has set up Kent Sands Mummers group, which is a nice little thing that all the wives and girlfriends and things have now signed up, and they do have little chats on there and sharing posts about it, and it's nice to see, when they post a picture of like how proud they are of us and things that some that we don't even think about. We just do with the things we're doing, but they're expressing that in a social media. It's quite nice to see.
I think it's good as well that Jack's missus has set that up, because we found this team has helped us, and talking about it through with people that have been through it, so it's probably going to help them as well share their stories and be there for one another. Like if one of us had a bad day, we're in a WhatsApp group, we just say, so I've been quiet, lads, but been a bit of a poor day, and everyone's like, thinking about you, mate, hope everything's all right, you've got a hospital appointment, good luck for today. Everyone's always there, and it's that's just what you need, and it feels genuine when it's coming from someone that has been through it all.
And I mean, generally, from my experience, that the support you get from the NHS and everything, not that I'm not digging out the NHS at all, but there's no, there's no sort of aftercare for you after you've been through this. So that's where SANS have really stepped up, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. That we kind of, once you're almost fit enough to go back home again, we didn't get a great deal of support after walking away, without the twins that we went in with. There's a bereavement midwife will follow up once in a while, but you have to reach out to them rather than them reaching out to you. And the good thing with SANS is there's a helpline you can call. It's not described as a helpline, but you can just ring somebody up and just talk. You don't even have to talk about the subject of of your particular subject. You can just vent if you want. They're there to listen, or you don't even have to say anything. They can just talk to you. And I personally found that very good around anniversaries or big moments in life, like Christmas time. And it's such a, you have such a heightened awareness after loss of a baby, of pregnancy and things like that, and just to be able to reach out, it really helped us, and hence why we really want to push forward with SANS United.
Yeah, you're listening to BBC Radio Kent with the on the air with John and Matt. We're with Mike, Scott, and Jordan from SANS United. If you want to ring us up, speak to them. If you've been had in the same situation as them as well, we'd love to hear from you. 0800 756 1111. First of all, here's Nina with the weather.